Thanks, Will. I had a Twitter interaction with someone named Sarah today, who I know is in this room, because I just saw that she had this. Where's she at? There you are. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I wanted to repeat the question that you had and repeat my answer, because the question that she posed on Twitter today is, this is my first Congress. Does anybody have any advice? And my advice to you was to stick your nose into any conversation that looks interesting. And you know, when Mike asked, is there anybody here that's new? There were a lot of people that raised their hand. I did my first Congress back in Denver, which means that in terms of some of these people, I'm a relative newbie. My first Congress in Denver, I was not sure that I wanted to be indoctrinated into this stuff. I was kind of resistant to the infection. And I would go like from my hotel room to whatever Andres was talking, back to my hotel room, and I resisted coming to Next Gen. I resisted all this. And I found, you know, these people kind of reaching out and sucking me in. And as I allowed myself to do that, look at what happens, you know, 4 years later. I wind up with all of these great, you know, compadres working on some fantastic projects. Stick your nose into other people's business here. That's what this place is about. I'm going to talk about another initiative that we've been working on at Strong Towns that we brought to Next Gen and had kind of an enthusiastic reception, and are now ready to kind of take it to the next level and really need to interact with you and present this as an opportunity for you to kind of help us as well. Just briefly, my name's Chuck Marone. I'm the Executive Director of Strong Towns. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Our mission is to support a model of growth that allows America's towns to become financially strong and resilient. We do the Strong Towns blog, the Strong Towns podcast. You can find us online at strongtowns.org. I've been going around the country doing a presentation that we call the Curbside Chat. 2 years ago, I started doing this in my home state and in the neighboring states. I'm from Minnesota. And literally, I would drive, you know, 2-3 hours and speak to a group of 3 people or 4 people. I drove all the way to Bismarck, North Dakota once, which was just 6.5 hours away, and wound up speaking to a group of 3 people in like a huge auditorium. 3 people showed up. I was in California 2 weeks ago. We had audiences in the hundreds. Last week I was in Memphis, or 2 weeks ago I was in Memphis. We had a couple hundred people there. Last week in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, we had a couple hundred people there. The gist of the conversation is essentially based around these 3 principles. The current path that cities are on is not financially stable. The future is not going to resemble the recent past. And the main determinant of future prosperities will be the ability of local leaders to transform their communities. The audiences that we're speaking to are enthusiastic. They're growing. But they all come, you know, the message that we're delivering to them is kind of premised on this idea that is very difficult for them to get their minds around, even though it's quite simple, and that is that we need to first stop doing what we're doing. We need to stop building highways. We need to stop building overpasses. We need to stop putting billions of dollars into extra lanes and extra capacity. We need to stop the kind of forward inertia of the system. We need to stop building this type of thing. This is what we call a strode. This is a street road hybrid. This is we like to say it's the futon of transportation options. It doesn't do anything very well. It tries to do a whole lot of things, but it doesn't do anything very well. It is not a platform for capturing value. It's not a platform for moving vehicles quickly. But this is the default setting that we've kind of moved to across the country in terms of our transportation systems. And when we're telling people that they need to stop, we're a long ways gone when, you know, we have systems that by default look like this. And it's occurred to me that what we're really dealing with here is Newton's first law. You know, an object in motion tends to remain in motion unless acted on by an external force. There's so much inertia in our system today to keep building those strodes. You know, when you have a project that's going through the works, it's probably been in process for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, maybe even longer. There's been engineers out buying up right-of-way for half a decade. There have been developers out speculating on that property for a long, long time. There's all of this kind of forward momentum to keep doing what we're doing. And we really, if we're going to do something differently, need to, first of all, just stop where we're at. And so we need an external force to kind of bring this to a stop. And I want us to be part of that external force. I think the economy today, I think the reality that we are going broke and that our development pattern is actually causing that bankruptcy, the fact that the DOTs across the country have 25, 35, 45 cents on the dollar of what they need to maintain all the systems we've built, these are powerful things that are bringing this all to an end. We can be kind of that that pinch point that helps push it over the edge if we can develop the right narrative. So when we got together in Miami Beach a couple months ago, I kind of threw out this idea that we wanted to put together this report talking about kind of the misconceptions of mobility, the things that we as a society, in a broad sense, generally agree, not because they're right, but because they've been the consensus for such a long period of time. And in our group, we kind of did a breakout group, and we brainstormed what these misunderstandings were, and we came up with three. The first one is that highway design knowledge is applicable to local streets. This is the idea that the body of wisdom that we've collected through really experimentation and trial and error in the highway system, and now is embodied in things like the Ashto's Green Book, is somehow applicable to our local streets and our local neighborhoods. It is the default setting across the country, and we want to break down this misunderstanding. We want to show how a strode like this, where's Will? Will showed me this strode in Chico, California. How, a design like this, which is designed by engineers for safety reasons, for traffic reasons, to handle a certain volume of ADT, all of that, is far inferior in many, many ways to a road, a nice local street that actually handles a higher volume of traffic, literally like 4 blocks away. This is a well-designed place. This is a place that can not only handle the traffic, but can provide a platform where you can actually have some life to it. You will not find this in the Ashto Green Book. And what we need to do is we need to help public officials understand that, that those highway design principles do not apply at the local level. The second misunderstanding that we identified is that increasing local automobility creates positive economic development. There's this belief kind of inherent that we need to build this stuff in order to create jobs, in order to create economic development, in order to foster business opportunities. We build the new overpass and we get the new Target, the new Quickie Mart, the new McDonald's. For some reason we don't turn around and look 4 miles up the road where the Target and the Quickie Mart and the McDonald's are closing and relocating here. We look at it as a net overall economic development. What we need to have public officials understand is that no, this dogma needs to go away. This is not economic development. It is an exchange of near-term cash value for this long-term liability. It is the illusion of wealth. The third misunderstanding then that we identified that we need to attack is this idea that public safety is enhanced by widening travel lanes and prioritizing auto access. Many of us have been to the meetings where we get maybe through the design review process, we get maybe through even the engineering department, and we come up with a good design and we put it down in front of the public and the elected officials, and who stands up? The fire chief, the police chief. They say, wait a sec, there's no way we can do this. This is not going to work for all kinds of public safety reasons. Well, we know that building streets like this is dangerous. We know that more people are killed in auto accidents, more children are killed in auto accidents than anything else that is going to happen in this country, once they're through those early months of child raising. We know these things, and we can show how these designs are not only dangerous, but very, very expensive and counterproductive. So where we're at today in this process is that we really need volunteers. This is not an initiative that we can do at Strong Towns on our own. This is not an initiative that we at NextGen can do on our own. And so in the afternoon here, I'm going to be holding, as part of the open source session, a group to talk about this specific project. We need people to do research. One of the things we brainstormed and came up with is that a lot of this inertia is embodied in our state statutes. For example, in Minnesota, my home state, you're required that every transportation corridor that you build have a minimum design speed of 30 miles an hour. It doesn't matter if it's a neighborhood street, if it has 3 homes on it, if it's out in front of a school, the minimum design speed is 30 miles an hour. And to get a waiver on that is this huge process through the DOT. What we want to do is research state statutes, we want to research bodies of literature and come up with things like this. We need people to help us prepare case studies. There's a whole body of knowledge out there in terms of benefit cost analysis, the impact of these Strode designs. Every community has numerous examples. When we release this report, the report itself is going to be detailed and specific, but we want to provide all of those heartstring stories, those stories that people can read and latch onto and identify their own community in them. And we really want to do a huge PR effort to kind of roll these out over time. So we're looking for people that are interested in taking a project or two in their community, putting it in a format and including it as a case study. We need people to help prepare graphics. You know, the Smart Growth Manual, to me, was an amazing communication device in its simplicity. If you haven't read it, each page is set up with a main idea that it's getting across, very simply stated, a graphic that relays that point, and then 2 or 3 paragraphs of text. You can literally read the Smart Growth Manual in about 10 minutes and get the whole idea of the whole thing. If there's a topic that you need to delve into deeper, you can go deeper. When we wrote the Curbside Chat booklet, we wrote it using that format. And we want to take and write this Understanding Mobility Manual in the same format. So we're going to need some help putting graphics together and identifying those compelling visuals that are going to help us tell our story. And then finally, we're going to need help sharing this message. We have built up quite a network amongst strong towns, amongst the other organizations and people in NextGen, but nothing like we can do if we all share this in our own towns, in our own communities, in our own places, amongst our own friends and our own contacts. And so what we're looking to do to maximize the impact of this report is to coordinate its release, coordinate the release of these case studies, the ongoing dialogue, and really propel this to another level, leveraging all of the connections that we in this room have. So with that, I do want to say, we are asking for people to volunteer. I did want to throw in, there's a little bit of what's in it for me. Besides making the world a better place and doing great things and being involved with a fun project, anybody that does volunteer, we will certainly attribute. They'll get individual recognition, the right to distribute this and duplicate it. In a sense, you'll be an owner of this the way any of us would be. And then I did add in, I know a lot of our younger people especially are in that phase in their career where they're looking for the next job or looking for the first job, unfortunately, in some cases. I know a lot of us, myself included, would be happy to, on LinkedIn, give you a recommendation or, somehow individually recognize or attribute your work, and if that will help you in your career path, I would be happy to do that, and I know that others up here would as well. So with that, if you're interested in this, in the afternoon here, my open source session will deal with this report. If you can't make it to my session, that's fine. If you still want to be involved, you can email me at marone@strongtowns.org, and I will get you into the email group and the website that we put together for working on this project. Thanks so much, everybody.